Hey guys, it's Zach and welcome back to the shop. If you're anything like me, I hate having Wi-Fi dead spots. In fact, I don't even have a good enough signal down here in my shop that I can even answer questions and do live video on Instagram, and it sucks. So today we're going to try to fix that. If you haven't seen already, the Amplifi HD mesh network is my choice. I went ahead and posted that on my Instagram recently. So I am going to unbox this on camera and we're going to install it together. So you want to see how I did it? Stick around. Alright, before we get into the unboxing, I just wanted to kind of give a quick overview of what a mesh network is. The idea is you have a mesh router combined with mesh access points, and you create a network that basically has no dead spots. And as you move throughout your house, it will automatically connect to the most powerful signal in your house. So you'd see, like if you see here, this is a mesh point, which is magnetic, which is pretty slick. And there's two that come in this kit, as well as the router. And then this is the charger. Now I will say the one thing I wish the charger was a little bit longer. I ran into an issue, but the nice thing is it's USB-C, so you can always put an extender on it. And inside there is the Ethernet cord and the user manual. Now the router itself is kind of unique in the fact that it's only about 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. It's got a display touchscreen on the front. On the back is 4 Ethernet ports, 10, 100, 1000, and 1 WAN port. And the bottom here is the reset switch. Now this router does support 802.11 A, B, G, N, and AC. So if your device is a newer device, it will handle the higher speeds on the AC network. Now I currently have a Comcast modem that I set up in a bridge setup. It's one of those things when you go into the router itself, you can set it up to be bridged, and what that does is it just allows this router to take full control over the settings. Also, before I disconnected this ASUS router, I actually went ahead around the house and set up different areas to check for speeds. So we can do a before and after comparison, and I'll tell you more about that at the end of the video. Alright, this is the very first time that I've ever plugged it in. So it seems like it goes through some type of setup. And once the setup is complete, it will instruct you to download the app. And in my case, I have an Android, which they do have a iOS version as well. Run through the quick little setup, which is pretty self-explanatory. Now this part right here, I want to make note. I thought I had this figured out already because I already had it in the bridge setup. I was wrong. They actually want you to unplug the router. I'm sorry, not the router. Unplug the modem coming into the house, and I did not do that. And it caused me headaches. So make sure you do that. But once I figured that out, it goes through its configuration, and we're ready to rock. Alright, now that the router is connected and I can see it on the app, I'm going to go ahead and start installing the mesh points first in my bedroom. Now off camera, I did play around with a couple different locations in my bedroom, and I encourage you to do the same because some of them have a little bit better signal than the other. Like you see here, it's not very powerful, so I moved it to the other side and it got me up to about 60% power. And then down here in the shop, I just wanted to make sure it was somewhere in the center of the shop. As I said before, this kit comes with 2 mesh points and it can handle up to 20,000 square foot, which will pretty much handle most of our operations, but you can add more if you choose to. Once I had them both installed, I went ahead and renamed them as bedroom and shop, so it's easier. You see here on the bottom, and there were some updates and I was pretty far behind. This was cool that it came up and told me to go ahead and upgrade. I was at like 1.5 and it jumped up to 2.4 or something along those lines. And so I'm pretty excited that did that for me. Super easy, just let it run through its course. And after that, actually, I had a better signal strength, which was pretty cool. Just you have a touch screen here where you can flip through different things. You can see your current speeds up and down. You can also see what ports are being used on your router. And then of course the time. And of course you can adjust the intensity of the LED and the LCD inside the mobile app as well. Now I'm just going to walk through some of the stuff that you can do on the app. I know it's not super detailed, but right here you're doing a speed test. So if every now and then you feel like you're not getting good signal, running through a speed test, it can help you do a diagnostic on the system. The other thing is you can set up guest networks. You can set them up for how many people you want to allow to join and also how long you want them to be able to join for. So you got a friend come over that you don't like too much. You can set it up for like a half hour and it automatically will disconnect after a half hour. Now this is a part that I thought was kind of beneficial for folks with families. You can set up profiles and you can attach devices to those profiles. So like I'm setting up one now for Zach, and then I'm going to attach everything that I currently use. So like my cell phone, my 2 computers, my Raspberry Pi, stuff like that. I'm going to add all those to my profile. And at any given time, I can see if any one of those is using data, it will all show up under my profile. And of course, you can limit the use on those particular ones by time, or you can just pause them outright just by hitting stop. So there you go. There's a scheduling you can set up for quiet time, they call it. So that's pretty useful. And the last tab is just for diagnostic. And that's it. All there is really to it. You can click on any one of the mesh points or the router to set individual settings, which is pretty nice. So, is it better? Well, I've actually upgraded from an Asus RTN66U. Not a super special router, but it's a typical router that most people have. So it's not really comparing apples to apples, but I did do a benchmark on this guy versus the new stuff. So let me go down some numbers for you. I went through 6 different places around my house. So office, living room, bedroom, the shop, and then some fun ones like the shed and the mailbox just for fun. The Asus, the office was 250 megabits per second, which kind of makes sense because it was right next to the current router. In the living room, it dropped down to 189. In the bedroom, it went to 94 megabits per second. The shed, I couldn't even get connection to. The shop, the shed, and the mailbox, I couldn't even get connection to, which really kind of sucks because if you're in the shop, you kind of need the internet, right? So that was what kind of triggered this whole thing. Now, also, just to give you guys a little bit of perspective, my house is a 2,000 square foot rancher with a 2,000 square foot basement, and I'm on 3 acres. So it's a sizable house. The downstairs is unfinished, but the upstairs, of course, is fully finished. Okay, cool. So let's go over some of the Amplifi stats. Amplifi in the office was 263.4 megabits per second, which was slightly higher than the previous one, but not by too much. And again, that's because the router was actually in that room. We'll see some big differences here. In the living room, 256 megabits per second, which is just a slight drop from the office and a huge leap from where the Asus was. The bedroom was 232 megabits per second compared to 94, so I mean, you're talking more than double the connection speed in the bedroom, which is fabulous. Now the shop, the shed, and the mailbox, we weren't able to get connection for on the Asus. but in the shop we're now at 294 megabits per second, which is kind of funny. It's actually higher than in the office, which is where the core router is, and that's probably because the access point is right here next to my workbench. But hey, that's what we want, right? The shed is at 98, and again, that's pretty far away from the house, maybe about 50 or 60 feet away from the outside of the house. And then the mailbox, just to be fun, which is probably a good 300 feet or so away from the front of the house, and probably 350 from the nearest access point. We're at 33 megabits per second. So what's kind of cool about the mailbox part, though, is as soon as I pull into the driveway, my phone will connect to the internet, which before I had to get into the actual garage before it connected to the internet. So it's just to give you a little bit more expansion. But I'm really happy with this. It really kind of gave me a no more dead spot kind of situation in my house, which is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to solve. So if you guys have any questions, leave them down below. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, folks, and I will see you next time.